How's it going, guys? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to be checking out some news stuff. There's a video called How the Farmers Won the Netherlands Local Elections. So a little while back, I kept hearing about the whole farmers protest thing and all that stuff. Everybody was flipping their flags upside down in protest against. I think they were trying to like curb like nitrogen levels or something, but they were doing it in a way that was going to prohibit a lot of the farmers being able to like do what they do. I don't really honestly know a lot about it, to be honest with you. Just little bits, so I don't want to say anything that's wrong. But anyways, this channel is for you to watch an American learn and react to videos for the first time. So if that's not what you're here for, go ahead and leave. Don't drop a comment down below talking about how you wish that I wouldn't pause the video. You wish I wouldn't say stuff. It's a reaction channel, guys. If you're not here to see an American react, then don't be here. Go watch the original video without me talking about it or talking over it. So for those of you that are still here and you do want to see an American react and learn to stuff for the first time, then you are certainly in the right place, and I appreciate you sticking around, guys. You don't even know. So we're going to check this out. It's by the channel. Let me see here. TLDR News EU. So there will be a link to that in the description section down below. As always, there always is. So we're going to go ahead and check this out. How farmers won the Netherlands local elections. Boom.
This video was brought to you by Ground News. On Thursday, Dutch voters went to the polls to elect members of their water boards and regional councils. And while that might sound deadly boring, these councillors are in turn responsible for electing members of the Senate, the upper chamber of the Netherlands Parliament. And, well, the results were pretty astonishing. To many Dutch voters, the election had become a de facto referendum on Mark Rutte's government. According to polling published by the public broadcaster on Wednesday evening, 60% of voters said that they wanted to use the election to express their view on the national government. And, well, Rutte didn't come out of this well. Every one of the four parties in the governing coalition fared badly in the vote.
I thought there was like 100 or 200 or something like that political parties. Is it just, there's just like four main ones? It could be.
And the big winner was the new anti-government pro-farmer Boer-Burgerbeweging Party, otherwise known as the Farmer Citizen Movement, or just BBB. So in this video, we're going to take a look at some of the context surrounding the election, why the farmers won, and whether this could spell the beginning of the end for Mark Rutte.
The beginning of the end, guys. Let's find out.
So, let's start by very quickly explaining the Dutch electoral system. And I promise this won't take long.
Okay, let's find out.
The Netherlands elects two chambers of parliament. The House of Representatives, which consists of 150 deputies, elected directly through a proportional representation system without an electoral threshold.
So did he say 150 parties? Sorry, yeah.
The Kingdom of the Netherlands elects two chambers of parliament. The House of Representatives, which consists of 150 deputies, elected directly through a proportional representation system without an electoral threshold, and the Senate, which has 75 members who are elected indirectly by regional councils in the country's 12 provinces. Regional elections are therefore also de facto national Senate elections. And this means that they're more important than regional elections in other European countries.
How so? So regional elections are more important than in the Netherlands than other regional elections in Europe, huh? Very interesting.
At least because in the Netherlands, the Senate holds considerably more power than other European upper chambers. Unlike, say, France, every law in the Netherlands requires majority approval in both chambers of parliament. This means that Senate elections carry great significance for any Dutch government, especially when it wants to pass controversial legislation. Like, say, Rutte's plan to limit nitrate pollution on Dutch farms.
Yeah, nitrate. Yeah, that's what I was. I said nitrogen, maybe nitrate, nitrogen are similar. I don't know for sure, but yeah, that's what I've heard. And the farmers were having nothing to do with it. I got a Dutch flag behind me, as you can tell. It's not upside down. It's like I'm not there. I don't know what's going on. I wasn't trying to get, not trying to get super political or like in anybody else's business when it comes to politics. I don't even understand the politics in this country, to be honest with you. So a lot of comments were like, "Hey, flip your flag upside down and show support." I do show support. I just don't want to be like outlandish and like, when I don't really have a right to be so. So my flag is the right way, which is fine. It looks nice. It covers my window.
Now, if you pay attention to Dutch politics, you might remember that last year Rutte declared his intention to cut nitrogen oxide emissions by 50% by 2030. This came after the Council of the State, an advisory body to the government headed by the king himself, ruled that the Netherlands' existing environmental legislations were insufficient to meet its nitrogen oxide and ammonia emission goals. As a result, the government could no longer build roads or buildings, both activities which also emit nitrogen, until it found another way to limit the emissions.
Okay, so I'm starting to see why people are so upset. Then I could see how that wouldn't be good. It's going to limit your progress as a nation if you can't build or maintain your infrastructure. So I guess, but Dutch ingenuity, I'm sure you guys will come up with something better, anyways, right? It would kind of force you to come up with a greener solution.
Otherwise, they will be breaking their own laws. Now, since agriculture accounts for something like 40% of all nitrogen emissions in the Netherlands,
40%,
the government
huh?
made a bold proposal to severely limit animal husbandry. And because
What is animal husbandry? Is that like we're gonna find out what that is. Animal husbandry. What is this? Animal husbandry and cured meats is the branch of agriculture concerned with animals that are raised for meat, fiber, milk, eggs, or other products. I didn't know that they raised them for fiber. I thought that was like from grass and stuff. But it includes day-to-day care, selective breeding, and the raising of livestock. Alrighty then. Well, the more you know.
cattle farms specifically account for about 60% of agricultural nitrogen, the proposal required the elimination of over 1 million cows and 4 million pigs, which
I mean, you could just have like a giant cookout nationwide and make a ton of bacon cheeseburgers and like pulled pork, barbecued ribs. Hey, I mean, that would it sends some cows over this way. We could eat some Dutch cows. I got a grill out back. I could throw some on a grill and cook it up. It'd be delicious.
would cause about a third of all Dutch farms to close.
No,
Unsurprisingly, farmers in the country reacted furiously,
yeah.
roadblocking the entire country with tractors, throwing manure at government buildings,
I heard about the roadblocks. I didn't hear about them throwing manure. To be fair, that is funny. And if you guys are like a politician watching this or whatever, I didn't mean that. I'm just joking. It's still funny. Sorry.
and even attacking the police. Now, while the protests have since calmed down, this gave momentum to the Farmer Citizen Movement, a new party founded in 2019 to defend the interests of farmers. Ideologically, they're sort of a standard right-wing European populist party, with a particular emphasis on farmers. As such, they're skeptical of green politics, including wind and solar power, and they also don't like so-called urban elites or immigration. Plus, as is the case with many right-wing populist parties in Europe, while they don't want to leave the EU, they're at least a bit Eurosceptic.
So they don't like immigrants or green politics. Okay. Well, then they don't like me because I do want to immigrate to the Netherlands at some point. That's okay though. I'll still eat your cheeseburgers that you raise on your farm.
While they don't want to leave the EU, they're at least a bit Eurosceptic, insisting that they don't want the EU to become a federal superstate. As a result of this movement, the BBB has experienced a meteoric rise in the past 2 years.
Is it the EU or the United Nations that the Dutch helped found? It was called Benelux, right? It was the Netherlands, Belgium, and Luxembourg that came together. It was called Benelux, and that became the United Nations or European Union. I don't remember which one, actually. Let me know down below.
Is going from 1% of the vote in 2021 to becoming, in some ways, the main opposition to Rutte's government, and coming out on top in Thursday's regional elections,
Jeez.
where they won the most votes in every province across the country.
By a landslide, it looks like. Why does it say two centen? Oh, North Holland. Is that North Holland? Yeah. They weren't about it, huh?
Plus, in some northeastern provinces, the BBB were absolutely dominant, winning more than 30% of the vote, while no other party came above 10%.
Well, so why does it say Tusenstand? Tusenstand? Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know. But why does it show that as being in the North Holland region and everywhere else BBB? I'm curious.
In practice, this means that the BBB will end up with about 16 seats in the Senate, well ahead of Mark Rutte's VVD on just 10. Although it's worth mentioning that together the Green Labour coalition did win 15 seats if you add together their votes. Regardless, every government party has done worse than they did in 2019, especially the CDA and CU, and the government now has just 23 seats in the Senate. To make these gains, BBB successfully won over not only right-leaning people, but also more centrist voters who have...
You know, they're always talking about like the right wing, the left wing, center, this and that. I don't know what any of that means, to be honest with you. I should. I'm sorry. I'm just a dumb American. I don't pay attention to politics. I probably should. I don't know what I am. Am I left? Am I right? Am I in the middle? If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, you've probably heard me kind of voice my opinion, you know, here and there. What do you think I am? Because I don't know.
become disillusioned by the government parties, specifically the Christian Democratic CDA and CU, which until recently garnered considerable support in the countryside. BBB were also helped by the fragmentation of the Dutch populist right, who spent most of their time bickering among themselves rather than fighting BBB, and as such, they were duly punished at the ballot box.
Sounds like Americans just fighting amongst themselves.
Forum for Democracy, for example, won just 3% of the vote, down from nearly 15% in 2019.
Jeez.
The big question here, though, is what does this actually mean for the Netherlands?
It means the BBC's gonna get it.
Well, first of all, it's bad news for the government. With
Yeah.
strong opposition blocs on either side of the government, with BBB on the right and Green Labour on the left, the government will really struggle to pass any significant legislation. While they might be able to push through their new nitrogen agenda due to the fact that the Green Labour coalition in the past has come out in support of the policy.
Now, is this gonna limit... Now I see why people complain that I pause it too much. I try not to do it in the middle of a thought process. When I do, I try to skip back so you can get back to, you know, what he's saying. But what is this going to mean for the Netherlands? Is it going to prohibit making progress? I don't understand.
Significant legislation. While they might be able to push through their new nitrogen agenda due to the fact that the Green Labour coalition in the past has come out in support of the policy, the parliamentary arithmetic is pretty tight. And you can imagine some MPs maybe just getting cold feet. The Green Labour coalition might also take the opportunity to extract some concessions from Rutte's government, which will be both embarrassing and politically risky for Rutte. All in all, Rutte is in a more vulnerable position than ever before. So if the Rutte cabinet is unable to break the gridlock and its ability to govern effectively is jeopardized, we could see elections in the lower chamber, currently scheduled for 2025, brought forward. And if this were to happen, it's hard to see Rutte, who's been Prime Minister for 12 years now, winning another term.
Now, so does he have all the power and like the king is just kind of like a ceremonial thing, kind of like in England where you got like whoever... It used to be like Boris Johnson or something. I think it's changed like 18,000 times since then, I think. But That's how it was over there, right? Like Boris had most of the power, and the queen was just kind of like a ceremonial, like representation of the monarchy. Or is it like? Because I don't really, you don't really hear about the king of the Netherlands. You hear about Ruder, whatever, however you pronounce it.
Nonetheless, the Dutch Prime Minister isn't called Teflon Mark for nothing, and he's weathered his fair share of political crises in the past.
What is that? Teflon? Teflon something another?
So only time will tell whether these results mean the beginning of the end for Rutte, and it ultimately really depends on how Dutch politics plays out in the weeks and months ahead. And if you want to follow that, as well as a whole bunch of other topics, the best way to do so is through Ground News. Ground News is a website
Sponsor
and app
plug.
that lets you compare. You get
We're gonna skip
reporting
that.
on the top viewpoints and or sources to get a sense of how governments, even democratically elected ones, can steer media coverage. And Ground News truly is the region. If you want more,
go check out Ground News, I guess, guys.
more than that, places or is really far more information about the news than any other app out there. Already are.
Okay,
Well, you can
so
subscribe.
is that that's the end of the video. So Ground News, he's pushing that pretty hard. So go check that out. There will be a link in the original video in cut. Not cut. I'm leaving it in. Real reactions, guys. But anyways, links down below. You guys have a super fun, awesome day. I will catch you in the next one. Stay focused. Take it easy.